Have you ever wondered how a global PC peripheral maker navigates the landscapes of emerging markets like India? Well, in this episode of BW Tech Talks, we interview Mr. Moninder Jain, VP and Head Emerging Markets at Logitech.
This trend is going to be even better because when we look at current sales of gaming related peripherals in India, they are smaller than even a country like, let's say, Vietnam or Philippines. And of course, with PCs going up, anything related to the PC is going to accelerate further. Our R&D budget, for example, last year, the figure was $280 million, and most companies who compete with us don't even have revenues equal to that much. A lot of people say this, right? You're right, everybody talks about AI. You need to ask them, what are you doing with your products or your software,
Exactly,
which incorporates it.
Great. So how are you?
All good, how are you?
Good. So the market is changing
As always.
but would you say at a bit more drastic pace than it used to?
Yeah, I would say that the pace of innovation is definitely increasing.
Okay.
For sure. I mean, and I think that is true for every year for the last 20, 30 years, right? The pace of innovation, the pace of change keeps picking up.
You joined Logitech in 2004, if I'm not wrong.
That's right.
More than 2 decades now.
Yep, in my 21st year.
So that's like...
So I've seen a lot of
Yes.
innovation for sure.
Yes.
I mean, when I joined, we still used to sell the ball mice, if you remember.
I do.
Right, and the PS2 port mice and keyboards and so on.
I'm exactly from that era. I started off with Windows XP with Pentium 4.
Okay.
The ball mice.
Mice.
Yeah. So.
And then the ball mice became optical mice, and
Yes.
from optical we have advanced. I mean, we have laser mice as well. And the keyboards have gotten better, and wireless is now a standard.
Of course.
At that time, everybody used to use a wired mouse. So yeah, I mean, if you look at if somebody just skipped these 20 years in between and said, okay, I skipped these, I was away totally from the world and came back in 2025,
Right.
they would be surprised with what all exists in technology today.
Absolutely, I agree with you. So, more than 2 decades with Logitech, what would you say, again, you did mention a few things, but what would you say has changed substantially over the course of 2 decades? And, like while you answer that, what would you say are the key trends that are shaping up that future?
Yeah. Okay, so Logitech initially, of course, was recognized more for its mice and keyboards. Subsequently, for its webcams and headsets and speakers as well.
Right.
Over the course of those 2 decades, we acquired some companies, as you may have heard, Ultimate Ears for audio, as an example, Life Size in video, which we later on divested, of course. Logitech actually got into user-friendly video conferencing before COVID. Okay. And COVID actually accelerated this trend even further, because it's during COVID that video conferencing became extremely important. But we had actually been kind of prepared for this by design, and some of it by luck, I would say. We have been preparing for this by consolidating our webcam position, leading market shares by far. And then from our life-size acquisition, we learned a lot about the video conferencing industry, even though we divested from it. We had already introduced some USB-based video conferencing solutions, right? And at that point of time, and this is pre-COVID, barely 3 to 5% of the world's conference rooms were video enabled, right? And then COVID accelerated that, but it's still in the teens. Why I'm giving you this number is because it dovetails into your linked question of trends upcoming, right? So the first trend I've talked about is how we were prepared for video conferencing, how Logitech kind of refashioned itself into becoming a big contender in video conferencing. And going forward, the trend is that even now, it's just teens, the amount of video enabled conference rooms in terms of percentage. So the potential is huge, and this trend is not going to give up. So more and more video conferencing will get into rooms, right? And at one point of time, I don't think 100%, but even if it gets to 50% of the world's conference rooms being video enabled, it's going to be a huge growth for all companies associated with this business. And of course, customers will benefit from this as well. So that was a Logitech change, dovetailing into a COVID acceleration, and then it's going to be a permanent trend. Another thing that caught on over the last, I would say, 15 years is esports and PC gaming. Right. Of course, there's mobile gaming. Of course, there's console gaming, and also the racing games and so on. But PC gaming and esports really caught on over the last 15 years, or let's say 10 years before COVID, had already become a trend. And then everybody was at home during COVID,
Right.
and PC gaming and esports picked up dramatically in that phase as well. So it got a bump, and now people have experienced that form of activity on their computers, and it's now actually even getting recognition. There's a esports World Cup and so on. So it's widely recognized. So again, the tailwind behind PC gaming is only accelerating, and Logitech has been in this industry for more than I have been. Okay, we already had gaming mice even before I joined, but now we have a full portfolio of great keyboards, great mice, and great headsets. We were very strong on the mice side initially, but we didn't have a complete portfolio in also having headsets and keyboards. But that got consolidated, and that really took off, and our R&D teams really worked on it, and our BGs really worked on it. COVID accelerated that in terms of adoption, and this trend is not going away anywhere.
Okay.
Globally. In India, this trend is going to be even better, because when we look at current sales of gaming related peripherals in India, they are smaller than even a country like, let's say, Vietnam or Philippines.
Okay.
Okay. Now, there are two reasons for this. India has had, apart from some localities, let's say in Delhi and Mumbai, major power issues. So consistent availability of power is important for PC gaming and esports. The other is about internet bandwidth. And if you look at mobile speeds, right now, even with the best modems and at home, I do have issues sometimes during my video calls and Zoom calls and so on. So the internet bandwidth at home has also been a question mark. And these two are not really big issues in most of Southeast Asia, definitely not in the Middle East or Turkey and any other part of the world. So gaming will accelerate even faster than it will win in other countries, because the base is so low. Okay, so that's number two. So video conferencing, we are prepared for it. Gaming, prepared for it. The third is also an interesting trend, which is normal usage of mice, keyboards, webcams, headsets relating to PCs. Now, we have a full portfolio, always had actually in this case, but the PC penetration itself in India and in most emerging markets has been very low. What is India's population? Everybody knows, 1.4 billion people and counting. Maybe it's 1.45 by now. China, similar population, but the number of PCs, 1/5 in India. Okay. Now, Indians' first experience of the internet has been on their mobile phones. But now people are beginning to realize that if you want productive applications and you need to make the best use of the internet, you need a bigger screen, right? And you probably need a laptop or a desktop. Okay. So a lot of people got into, again, this experiencing internet during COVID. Now they're realizing, and now it's 3 years post that, now they're realizing that that screen, which I got used to, where I even used to get my homework on at times, is not good enough. I need a bigger screen.
Okay.
So this will be a major tailwind for PC penetration in India. And of course, with PCs going up, anything related to the PC is going to accelerate further.
Right.
Right. So in all three of our major segments, whether it's video conferencing or gaming or normal personal workspaces, the trends have been great. We've been prepared, and they're going to accelerate. And we've been prepared because we do spend a lot of time researching. our R&D budget, for example, last year, the figure was what, $280 million? And most companies who compete with us don't even have revenues equal to that much, right? So we have always been putting a lot of money into research and development and making sure that the consumer gets the best possible experience, and we are the innovators in this space. Some of our products, whether it's in our personal workspace team or our gaming team or video conferencing, are indeed very different from what competition introduced. And I'll give you more details as the conversation goes by. I'm sure some of your questions would be related to that.
Yes, absolutely. So, circling back on what you said, you mentioned PC penetration and you mentioned the quality of the network that gamers have right now, people have right now to have better access to gaming, let's say, in general, if you pick a niche. And you compare it to the countries in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, it's just an example. Can compare to anywhere, yeah.
Okay. But is it still the same in 2025? Because PC penetration is rapidly increasing in the country, and I think it goes the same when we talk about the sheer quality of the network that we have right now, be it 5G, be it better Wi-Fi. Is it still the same?
Let me put it this way, the experience is not consistent. Okay, as far as the internet is concerned, internet infrastructure. Even in Delhi.
Okay.
Yeah, and India is not just Delhi or Mumbai or Bangalore, right? There's a huge India which is outside that. If you look at the percentage of population, less than 2 or 3% of people live in these 2-3 cities. Right. The rest are outside, and electricity and internet quality and consistent quality. I mean, not fluctuations or not suddenly it's down or something happens or the power goes is an issue. PC penetration is going up for sure. It's a secular trend. And it will continue to go up. And though IDC did give the figures a couple of years after COVID, it was stagnant or declining. This year it's beginning to pick up again, right? But for most of the years, in the last 15-20 years, PC industry has been growing at an anemic rate compared to what it should be. Right. So the gap is even now, like if you were to reach China's install base, we would need to go 5 times. It's not a small number.
So when you joined in 2004, I was very curious to know this. What were your first concerns as the country manager of Logitech? I mean, you went straight for country manager, right?
Yeah.
So what were the first steps, your first concerns as you joined as the company's, India head?
Okay, well, we didn't have a complete portfolio.
Okay.
It wasn't necessarily priced right for India.
Okay.
We didn't have a service infrastructure. We didn't have an adequate distribution infrastructure. And we didn't spend enough of marketing. There's nothing left, right? Those are the 5 or 4 things which are there for every company or any job you walk into that you look at. And obviously we were setting up. So my biggest concerns was that it were under-resourced, under-distributed, wrongly priced, under-serviced. And then, but luckily, the company was indeed interested in India. And though I moved out of India in 1.5, 2 years after that, but in those 1.5, 2 years, we were able to get a service infrastructure in place, appoint more distributors, get some marketing funds, do some price resets, look at our warranty policies. So we were able to create that infrastructure and that the right atmosphere to be successful.
Okay. So you mentioned those pointers. Fast forward to 2025. How are things different?
Well, firstly, our product portfolio itself now is vast, more than adequate.
Okay.
So much so that there are products which are not necessarily sold in every channels. We can actually differentiate and have a vast portfolio for example, retail. Still have a vast portfolio which doesn't completely overlaps, but doesn't for online and e-tail, and a different portfolio for L for V or Logitech for business or business B2B. So I think our product portfolio has come a long way, including the completion of it. Like I gave the example of gaming earlier, Earlier we were very strong in gaming mice, but now of course mice, keyboard, headsets as well, and within gaming. Video conferencing didn't exist as a business at that point of time. So I think the three trends, the major trends, we are fantastically equipped globally and in India, because all products are, or most products are made available to India as well, which wasn't the case at that point of time. So that I think has enabled a lot of the growth that we have experienced. We have a service infrastructure as good as any, where customers don't need to worry about. Actually, nothing much happens to your logical equipment, but if it does by chance, then we have an infrastructure which can take care of you. So I'm satisfied on that count as well. One is never fully satisfied in any company with how much marketing we do or how much marketing funds we get. That doesn't change, right? But if I look at it as a percentage of revenue, broadly, as revenue has gone up dramatically in these 20 years, and so has the amount of money we spend on marketing. So I would say we are in a very good place right now, and we are in a great place to use these three trends of video conferencing, gaming, and personal workspace related to PC penetration, accelerating.
The video conferencing bit is, of course, that's your B2B, that's your enterprise business.
That's right. That's
okay.
right.
We'll circle back to that later.
Sure.
I want to ask you about the role of innovation. How big of a role does innovation, research and development play for the company?
Huge. Like I just said, we spent $280 million on R&D, which is like bigger than the revenue of the companies who compete with us.
Okay.
In some cases. So it's huge. Now look at gaming. Yeah. And I'm sure you'll get to take some pictures or of what's around you. The top esports teams, they play a large part in consulting on bringing out a pro series of gaming equipment. So our R&D is not just based on what we do, but we get people who are experts in this to play with it, give us their input so that we design the right kind of products for them. Okay. And if we can design right for professional esports players, you can definitely be sure that it's more than adequate for anybody else who's taken up gaming. So very important to us. If you look at some of the products, other technologies like light speed, right, higher speeds, lower latency, and so on. If you look at our power play mats, the mouse pads, which you charge the mouse as you're playing because you have that mouse pad.
That is, that's something.
Yeah, that's so you don't need to ever worry about your mouse going out while in the middle of a game, or you're in the crucial juncture and suddenly you can't fire. Let's say it's a shooting game. So that I think also is an example of how much we look at R&D. If you look at our video conferencing, we have a product called Site. Now, typically, if you have two meeting rooms, what you tend to see is the complete meeting room,
right,
on one side, and they see you.
Of course.
What Site does is, if you have it in the room, you can see the complete meeting room, but the last 4 active speakers, you can also see them close. So it's got 2 views together. So it's important in video conferencing to look not just at the room. It's not the sake of video you're doing it. It's important to understand the nuances of body language. How is somebody reacting? And it's kind of lost if it's just one view.
Okay.
And you can't get a close-up of whoever is speaking. So Logitech Site, of course with the help of AI, does that beautifully. And we would love to, of course, show you a demonstration whenever you have time. So that's also an example of what we perceived as a need, and then we made a product which could satisfy that particular gap or that need. You look at our personal workspace products, our MX series, for example, in mice, developers, designers, they just love it, right? The hyper scrolling, the materials we use, the comfort to the hand, everything in that MX series is truly good. And now we built something called, now that AI, of course, is in everything. We have AI Prompt Builder, which helps you easily connect to all the AI tools while still in our, while using our mouse. We have got Logitech Options software, which can help you customize your experience with your mouse. We have the G Hub, which of course can help you set up all your gaming peripherals as well. So all this is a result of R&D. Some of it is in hardware, some of it is in software.
Right.
But without R&D, it's like we wouldn't be where we are, because let's face it, we do have products in the market out there who are in 80% of a price, half a price, 40% of a price, but then they're not the same quality, not the same design, not the same features. It's not just like making another mouse or a keyboard or a headset. It's what you can do with it and how long it will last you and how good is it in your hands that matters. And that all depends on R&D.
What's the long-term vision for gaming peripherals?
Oh, that, of course, that most people understand that to do gaming, you need a made for gaming peripheral. We will realize our vision once that understanding comes in the general gaming population. Okay, so that I think is the critical one. As of now, I see many instances where people want to buy a PC for gaming, but what do they buy? They buy just a normal mouse or a normal keyboard or a normal headset, right? Because the understanding that you really need good weapons to win the game is not fully there.
But would you say that's also because India, the core Indian consumer, has that frugality, that frugal mindset? If they can use a normal mouse for shooting, why buy an expensive gaming mouse?
Yeah, again, if you are just in it for casual gaming once in a while, without any competitive spirit or without any intensity to that, you're probably right. But I think once the education comes in that when you buy some stuff, it should last you a long enough time, and B, have great features today, so that it's still okay after 2-3 years. That still hasn't come in, and it's very important if you want a more than just a casual gaming experience. I see a lot of people becoming more and more aware. So overall, this is a problem, but there is a rise in people who understand this. So if I look at our Pro series, which is really top notch, the percentage share of Pro within our gaming sales is far higher than one would imagine looking at the price point. So is frugality that important for people who are seriously into gaming? I'm not sure, because a lot of people who are into gaming are either in their mid to high teens. I'm talking about people who devote a lot of time into gaming, or in their 20s. And at that point of time, whether it's money that your parents would give you to indulge you and to cater to your interests or as a gift, or when you started working early and you have the money and you really want to experience the best. So that's why I think our Pro series does well, because people who understand it say that no, I really want whatever is the best rather than just another thing. Now, that just needs to expand to 10x of the people.
Right. Okay. The next thing I want to speak about is Logitech's production. How does the production look like right now? Where is the bulk of the production taking place?
Well, we've had our plants in Suzhou in China for 3 decades or more. And that's a large part of our production. And we do, of course, manufacture in Vietnam, in Mexico, in Taiwan. So we have a few countries where we manufacture.
Okay. These days, localization is playing a huge role for all the players in tech, right?
Yes.
Is that on the table for Logitech as well? Are you planning to localize production in the country?
The component ecosystem has to exist.
Okay.
The component ecosystem for peripherals doesn't exist.
Okay. And what's the roadmap for that?
Well, we keep exploring, but we haven't come across a component ecosystem which can support it. So effectively what you would be doing is importing everything and assembling it, which there's no value addition, right? So it's that I think is the biggest constraint.
Okay. Okay, so no plans as of now.
No, but if we do have, we will definitely let you know.
You mentioned about video conferencing and how you acquired a company, then invested, and now it's a big part of your business. Uh, yes, it's true that after COVID, video conferencing took a giant leap. It was a black swan event, but certain things happened. Uh, an FT phenomenon, if you will. Um, but despite that, if I just take India only, there's still a huge gap. A vast majority of offices, boardrooms, meeting rooms don't have video enabled services.
Yes.
How are you as a business planning to bridge that gap?
Yeah, so we do have events reaching out to CTOs, CIOs, even CFOs and CEOs for that matter, to give and acquaint them with the power of video conferencing.
Okay.
So yeah, you're right. I mean, it's the percentage of penetration is mid-teens at best, or early teens in India, even globally. So that's all in terms of the percentage of
Even globally?
even globally.
Okay.
Even globally. Actually, we don't have India-specific figures, but globally, that's the figure that I was quoting to you. That's still in its early teens. We continue to improve the awareness of people on the fact that video conferencing is the next best thing to being there. Sometimes it's better than being there because you save a lot on your travel money. Right, and I think CFOs understand it, CEOs understand it, and of course CIOs, CTOs understand it too, that a large part of operating expenses can be saved if people become more habituated to talking to each other on video. So that's one. The other thing that video does is it enables trust. You can pick up the phone and talk to anyone, of course, but the more you talk to the person face to face, it becomes better, right? So there are two things here. One is, from the cost perspective, it's better than travel. And you can't travel to so many places and meet so many people on the same day that you can on video. And the second thing is that instead of picking up the phone, have a 5-10 minute Zoom, Teams, Google call, and talk to somebody, build that trust with them. So this is what we are trying to pitch even to chief HR officers, right? Because the messaging there is, it improves company culture. So it's good for your cost control. It's great for, of course, adopting technology, because no company is insulated. Everybody talks to not just people within the company, but also to clients, to vendors. And you've got to have the technology to be able to talk to them over large distances, because we live in a global economy, right? So CTOs and CIOs understand, HR, heads of HR understand it, the CFOs definitely understand it because of the cost angle, and CEOs because everything eventually, all other elements roll up to them, are getting the message. So our job is to educate as much as possible on the power of video and why more video adoption is required.
Okay. Who would you say is the biggest competitor in terms of video conferencing equipment in India?
I would say our biggest competitor is the travel industry.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
mean, frankly, because what are we talking about? We're talking about not even mid-teens, like early teens, or maybe even less if you have data pertaining to India penetration of meeting rooms. So do we really compete with other people in this industry? I don't think so. What we are
Okay.
competing is collectively to increase the, as we call TAM, which is the target market, right? So I think that is what we need to look at in order to really have a blue sky approach.
So I'm guessing you're not naming any place.
There is no need to, but you know the obvious ones who were there before us, but who kind of fell behind when we made it a lot easier to adopt video.
You mentioned gaming, we mentioned video conferencing. There's another domain that also expanded sort of after COVID. And I say COVID, it's been 5 years, but it still has relevance somehow. Which is making videos, creating content.
Streaming.
Yes, streaming, creating content. It's just because it's a whole ecosystem. You want to make a video, you shoot the video, of course, but then you want to have good equipment, a good keyboard, a good mouse. Again, streaming, you need good webcams, good cameras.
That's right.
The whole ecosystem, right?
Absolutely.
How has that played a role in in your business?
Oh, well, I mean, we have specifically products for streaming. We have the Blue microphones, for example.
Right.
We have webcams as well, great headsets. But I know now the buzzword is AI, right? And now you must have heard of agentive AI.
Yes.
Right. So we do have agentive AI as well, which can be your assistant. They can be a producer, all in one.
Okay.
Streamlabs, which is within our gaming division, has collaborated with NVIDIA, and we have come up with this agentive AI. So there's this agent who's guiding you through making your video, suggesting to you which edits to leave. Let's say you're covering a game, which are the key things to cover, how to edit, all that. So that is another thing. It's not just about the hardware anymore. It's also about enabling people to make better content or produce better. So that has already come in. That I think is another example of promoting this particular industry, the streaming industry and the content creation industry.
Okay. And have you received any feedback on this? Are people actually using this?
Well, it's early days.
Okay.
Right, but we've got into it, right? So that's the key, and I'm sure in the next few months we will have good feedback on this. I mean, whoever has seen it in action definitely is blown away.
Okay.
And we should arrange a demonstration for you as well.
Sure. Would love to see that. I want to understand what's the difference in approach between your B2C business and your B2B business.
Yeah, well,
Because I think they're worlds apart, right?
worlds apart, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Logitech is lucky enough to cater to both, right? There are many companies out there which are just purely consumer. Many companies out there who are just purely enterprise or government or businesses. But we are lucky enough to be in all, right? So I would say even the consumer business has its differences, because consumer business could be retail, it could be mom and pop stores or resale business as well in several markets.
Right.
It could be online, and within online there could be the Amazons and the Flipkarts, but there's also quick commerce, right? So even the consumer business has many aspects to it, but the enterprise business, or the Logitech for Business as we call it now as a division, VC business, is a completely different channel, which is mostly system integrators or corporate resellers. And in that case, our interaction with the end customer is extremely important. So the key go-to-market difference would be that whereas in B2C, you would meet customers en masse because you would do big customer events, whether it's participation in Comic-Con, for example, or let's do a mall atrium event and so on and so forth. Whereas in enterprise, you have, of course, these events which are conducted by industry bodies where you can meet a whole bunch of, let's say, CFOs or CTOs or CIOs. But it's extremely important to have that one-on-one conversation in their offices, or to bring them to your offices to show them the products. Right? So I think the biggest difference is that direct engagement. Of course, the channels are different completely, for sure. But from our own manpower perspective, from our own effort perspective, the direct engagement part is the key difference in the go-to-market.
Okay. Right now, in India and the whole world, what would you say is the biggest hurdle or biggest challenge for PC peripheral brands, companies like yourself?
Well, opportunities I already outlined, huge opportunities in all fields. I think a possible challenge, I'm not sure how serious the challenge is, but it is in emerging markets at least, is what you mentioned in passing, is the frugality for part of the population, not the entire population, luckily, but for part of the population who, for example, don't really understand as to why you need to buy, let's say, a proper gaming mouse for a good gaming experience, who probably don't understand the value of an external webcam or an external headset, even while using your laptop, right? I'm not talking about conference rooms here, but even the experience that you get and the professional audio and video that you can convey to the other party on the other side by using an external webcam and headset. I think these are more understanding the need and conveying the need kind of challenges. And if people can understand the need, which of course we are trying and I'm sure others are too, then the balancing scale or the imbalancing scale of frugality probably will become lighter.
Okay.
And the need scale, the need part of the scale becomes heavier, and then people understand what they need to buy.
All right. I'm particularly very curious about the market share of Logitech in India. If we talk about the B2B business as well as the B2C business, what would you say is Logitech's market share?
Okay, so there are no official market share data in India. There is none.
Okay.
So GfK doesn't publish, for example.
Okay.
So we have to rely on sources like, let's say, Amazon, who tell us our in-house share in Amazon, for example.
All right.
We can't quote those figures, of course, but I can tell you comfortably that on some of these platforms that I've named, at least in our mice keyboard combo business, webcam business, we're definitely way up there.
Okay.
In gaming mice as well. In gaming keyboards and headsets, not so necessarily.
Okay.
And normal headsets and PC headsets also not necessarily so. But with our portfolio and with our recent efforts, because gaming headsets is not something we had a very complete portfolio even till 1 year back, right? It's now that we have one, or gaming keyboards for that matter. So that's only going to go up. But in the other categories that I mentioned, there is definitely, we are leaders by far. Now on video conferencing, again, there's no report, but sometimes.
But you must have a number, no?
Then we have our number.
Okay.
Right, but there's no industry report of this. But there are platforms like Teams or Zoom or Google, and they can track as to which hardware is being used.
Oh, okay.
Right, so as per one of them, and I will not quote which one of the three, but as per one of them, also we were ahead.
Okay.
So as per the last data that they made available to us.
And this was when?
This was October, November.
All right. What's your marketing budget like?
Well, not enough to advertise in Businessworld, but look, marketing budget is again a dollar figure, right? I mean, I won't necessarily get into dollar figures here or percentage figures. Typically, most companies in our industry would spend 2 to 3% of their revenue into Marcom, right? We won't be any different from that.
Okay. All right.
And I think if spent wisely, that's quite adequate. So I can give you a percentage figure, which I just gave you. But obviously, absolute dollars is unfortunately not really a topic.
Okay. And this includes like the various partnerships you're having with esports.
Yeah, it includes everything.
Okay.
It includes everything.
Is there a split between offline and online marketing?
Splits are all as per the percentage share in revenue. And B2B for that matter.
Okay. All right.
So, but B2B, of course, is not that marketing intensive as it is field intensive. So maybe a little percentage less than the B2C business.
One last question before I enter the final concluding question for this interview.
Sure.
AI adoption. What's your take on AI adoption? Because people who don't even usually understand AI, even they are talking about AI. It's like you have to. It's like if you don't talk about AI, you're somehow considered obsolete or you're somehow considered unaware. So you have to talk about AI.
Yeah.
But as for a company as big as Logitech, what role is AI adoption playing, and what's the roadmap like? Sure, you mentioned that you are including AI features in
our products,
in the product as well,
in software as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a hardware plus software.
That's right.
Thing. What's the roadmap for this? What's the future?
Oh, it's only going to get more intense. So there are a lot of people say this, right? You're right. Everybody talks about AI. But anybody who talks about AI, you need to ask them, what are you doing with your products or your software?
Exactly.
Which incorporates it. It's all AI is the buzzword. So yeah, I would say AI. But do you have it? Do you have something like, for example, like I mentioned, the AI prompt builder, which which is there in our products, or the option software, which enables that, and the G Hub. And I also talked about, Sight, that video product, which is helping in other video products as well, which are AI enabled. And the agentive AI. People used to talk about generative AI, but there's also agentive AI now, which is becoming, as you say, buzzwords, right? So we already have something like that all done. And this is going to go wide. I mean, across our product lines. I mean, AI is definitely there, right? It's not something that we're just talking about. We're putting it into our products already and into our softwares. So we are not just doing lip service and saying AI is important. It's there.
Okay.
You can't think of anything without AI anymore, right? When it comes to launching new products or new software as well.
So any upcoming products that will make use of that?
Well, AI Prompt Builder is all there, right? Our video conferencing products, all of that are coming, in, all necessarily incorporated. So it's practically going to be in everything. I can't really say it's going to be one or two.
Okay.
Most products will have some element of AI either on the software side or on the hardware side, and that's the right way to go, of course, apart from agentive AI, as in the Streamlabs initiative.
Okay.
And AI is a small part. I think you didn't cover this. AI is also a part of the spelling of sustainability, though it's a completely different buzzword. Everybody talks about sustainability as well. And that's the other thing that we do, not just to lip service, but we've done a lot on.
How so?
Well, now what? 65% of our mice, keyboards, combos are all using recycled plastic. Just an example.
All right.
You pick up our boxes, we put the carbon labeling. Carbon is the new calorie. We were the first to do it in our specific industry.
Okay.
So there, we eliminated 8,000 tons of virgin plastic from our manufacturing when the last data available. So not just lip service, actual measures which have been taken.
But how is that feeding the company's financial goals? I'm always curious about this as well. Like, it's a big part of who we are. I mean, we have to save the planet. We have to make sure that we take responsible actions.
Yeah.
But how does that affect the business?
Well, firstly, that reason itself is enough.
Okay.
We are responsible and we need to take action. That reason is good enough. But yes, I mean, when you incorporate some of this into your manufacturing processes, into your packaging, then it doesn't have a detrimental effect on your bottom line, frankly. And a lot of customers out there, okay, I get your point, not so many in India perhaps, but if you look at globally, a lot of customers out there who hear about our sustainability initiatives think, well, you know what, it's a responsible company.
All right.
And we don't put it out there. You won't see us advertising all this. I'm just telling you because we're having this interview. We don't put it out there. But because of our carbon labeling and because of somebody may have heard of what we do, it improves your brand image, frankly.
Okay. So you're saying that it helps shape the company's perception in the customer's mind?
It also does. So that's, I would say, still a byproduct. But that reason that we are doing good for our planet is good enough. I think more people should think that way than use it just as a, what was it called, a big buzzword, lip service, etc., etc. Everybody talks about it, but how many people actually do it? It's important to do it, not because of purely financial reasons, but also because it's great for the planet.
All right, understood. Circling back to the bit about AI, my hardly imaginative brain always thought about this. Since you are into gaming equipment, keyboards, mice, would you say there's a future, that there exists a future where we have equipment that is AI enabled and helps players play better? Which is a bit controversial because that sort of, I think, clashes with international esports rules and regulations. But do you think we have a future where we have a mice, where we are shooting, right? So let's say it's a shooting game, right? We have a mouse where we are shooting at the people in front of us, and it has AI-enabled features. So the player who's playing is able to shoot better, is able to play better, is able to make better decisions.
Yeah. No, you are a visionary, I would say.
You're too kind.
Yeah, because that's what would be the Streamlabs equivalent of a gaming coach. I don't think, I don't know whether people are working on it. Hopefully somebody is, but it's a great idea. But again, for coaching, maybe, but definitely not for life play. That would
Okay.
be unethical, right? Because then you have
Right.
an unfair edge.
That'll be like using steroids in sports.
Exactly, that
Right?
would be like using steroids in
Esports on steroids.
Correct.
But do you see a future where this happens?
I would say that, I don't know, but purely based on ethical considerations of fair play, not in competitions.
Okay.
But for coaching, who knows?
I mean, the way
For preparation and coaching, who knows? That's fair.
right, right. The way things are going, we might see something like that pretty soon.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
Right. Okay. Last question. What is the big picture for Logitech? The long-term goals, if you will.
Okay. Well, the big picture is to do with where you see the picture.
All right. Do
Where do you see
explain.
pictures? Screens,
Okay.
right?
All right.
Now it could be a video conferencing screen. We are there in that room. It could be your gaming computer screen. We are there. Absolutely.
Okay,
With the peripherals there. It could be a normal computer screen. We are there. We cover the last inch between man and machine. Right? Without those interfaces, you can't get the most out of computers. Right? The big picture for us is to enable human potential and to help them interface with machines and to realize more.
Well, thank you, Mr. Jain. That was lovely chatting with you,
Likewise,
and it was
thank you.
great having you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you for your
Thanks.
time. Cheers.